From Holi and Ramzan to Holi versus Ramzan. From festivals of sharing joy and celebrations to festivals of high alert. On eve of Holi, flag marches in Sambhal, Noida, Prayagraj, Delhi, Indore. Mosques covered, namaz timings postponed. Sensitive zones fortified. Festivals politicized, religious harmony compromised. Top focus on To The Point this evening. All right, our top focus. Because festivals have been duly politicized, the religious harmony that India has seen has been compromised. But also there has been a word which is much hated nowadays called intolerance. And it cuts both ways, viewers. Why I say it cuts both ways? And it's clearly surfacing at the time of Ramzan and Holi. At one end, we'll get you visuals of a fashion show in Gulmarg, Srinagar. Stunning visuals there. But because this fashion show took place in the times of Ramzan and the models wore a beach line, which was one model wore a bikini and the other model also, two models sported, both male and female, swimwear. And that caused a huge issue with the political establishments of Jammu and Kashmir. You had the PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti come out asking for an apology, and ultimately the designers who were behind this particular fashion show had to come out and issue a due apology. So intolerance there and intolerance on the other side. Muslims have been told if they don't want to in Uttar Pradesh, and this diktat has come from the police, that if they don't want to celebrate or won't want color on them, then don't get out of the house. Mosques across Uttar Pradesh have been covered with tarp, which you can see on your television screen. A battleground emerging. Tense moments before Holi, on the eve of Holi. Two very splitting images of, like I said, a word much anticipated as well as maligned nowadays called intolerance. So at the back of all that we have seen, the questions that we asked this evening, since when did... Let's cut across to the questions that we asked this evening. Since when did Holi and Ramzan turn to Holi versus Ramzan? For time immemorial, these have been festivals of sharing joy, celebration. But now it's one pitched against the other in the battleground of festivals. Festivals politicize, religious harmony compromised, growing intolerance with uproar over fashion show in Jammu and Kashmir during Ramzan, growing intolerance with Muslims advised to stay indoors during Holi celebrations are some of the questions we're going to pose to our panelists this evening. Joining us, Mahima Singh, National Spokesperson, Congress; Sanju Verma, National Spokesperson, Bharatiya Janata Party. We'll also be joined by Yashovardhan Azad, top cop, former IPS. Is it time, somewhere down the line, Sanju Verma, to de-escalate the kind of tensions that we see build up on the eve of Holi in the month of Ramzan? Visuals that have been filtering in the last 48 hours have been unprecedented, which we haven't quite seen. It's not limited. You'll turn around and say only Hindu festivals are targeted. But let me also say it's not limited to just Holi. Even when you have a fashion show in Srinagar and you have models maybe who sport the swimwear line, have to come out and immediately issue an apology because the political establishments think that this goes against the tenets of Islam during the month of Ramzan. Is it time, somewhere down the line, to de-escalate the kind of tensions that we're living in?
Preeti, you always second guess what Sanju Verma is going to say, but for once you're right. Yes, indeed, Preeti. 99.9% of the time, Hindu festivals are targeted, and I will corroborate what I'm saying with hard examples. Let's not forget that when there is cover yatra, it happens once in a year. What do we hear? अरे ये कवर यात्री जो है ना, ये छपरी हैं, ये गुंडे हैं, ये बहुत जोर से गाना बजाना करते हैं, बहुत जोर से डीजे चलाते हैं. Then I remember I stay in Mumbai, Maharashtra.
Sanju Verma, there's a problem with your audio line. We're going to try and reconnect that. We're going to cut across to our other guest. But once again, taking our viewers to some of the questions that we are posing for our viewers and our panelists. The first question, of course, comes, with all of us who've remembered Holi, we've remembered, our friends celebrating Ramzan. It was always about sharing. Suddenly, it's a pitched battle between these two festivals, a month of Ramzan and the festival of Holi. We've seen a clear politicization of religious festivals, which has clearly compromised the religious harmony that we have seen. Growing intolerance, an example of that, an uproar over a fashion show in Jammu and Kashmir during Ramzan, growing intolerance, with Muslims now being advised to stay indoors during Holi celebrations. Sanju Verma is back with us. We are also joined by Mahima Singh. Sanju Verma, finish what you're saying, then I'll cut across to Mahima Singh. We have you back.
Preeti, my limited point is this. Durga Puja celebrations in Maharashtra, in terms of the Durga Puja Visarjan has been postponed so that Muharram procession can continue as scheduled. There is a village, Nalhati in West Bengal, where there are only 300 Hindu families. And for the last 40 odd years, these 300 Hindu families in Nalhati village in Birbhum district do not get to celebrate Durga Puja, but I've seen no prime-time discussion. There are villages and districts in Kerala where Hindus are told that, आपको तो दिवाली के लिए, होली के लिए, रक्षाबंधन के लिए, रामनवमी के लिए, कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी के लिए छुट्टी नहीं मिलेगी, but for Eid we will extend the number of scheduled holidays. I have seen that be it Rakshabandhan, be it Krishna Janmashtami, be it Holi, be it Ramnavami, be it Deepavali, most of the holidays in Mumbai, Maharashtra and in many parts of India are optional holidays.
Okay.
But I know that during Christmas, schools and colleges and banks are closed. I know during Eid, schools, colleges and banks are closed. I know during Buddha Purnima, schools, colleges and banks are closed. We never complain.
Okay. So Sanju Verma, I'm going to circle back to you and I'm going to ask you, is it because the question wasn't about Hindu festivals versus festivals of other religions. The question is it time to de-escalate the tension? Because what we are moving towards is not only alarming, disconcerting, and can result in stuff that India has witnessed before, and we don't want to go there. I want to bring in Mahima Singh, National Spokesperson, Congress, into this conversation. Mahima Singh, the kind of security arrangements that we see doesn't quite warrant a festival, but actually it seems that there's a terror alert in the country. Having said that, this is the first time it's happened, but Mahima Singh, the flip side, it's better, to be safe than sorry, put all the policing in force and hope that no untoward incident happen.
Jai Hind, I absolutely agree with you, Preeti, and in fact, Rajesh Reddy, a poet, agrees with this situation when he says, "Ye sare shehar mein dehshat si kyun hai? Yaqeenan kal koi tyohar hoga." You see, the BJP spokesperson's entire narrative is rather the antithesis of the actuality. You rightly said, Preeti, that what we are seeing today is unprecedented. The amount of security protocols that we see across cities and across sensitive geographical terrains is quite appalling and is quite worrisome. Because this is the country where Ganga Jamuni Tehzeeb was the norm. You see, not only tolerance, but I would say rather camaraderie, fraternity was the demeanor of our society. But today, what you see over the last 10 years, what else do you expect when the head of the state, our Honorable Prime Minister, goes out for general elections and uses words like Mughal Mas, Machi, Mujra, Mangal Sutra, everything that defines and demonizes religion is being projected by our Honorable Prime Minister who should have rather been responsible for ensuring peace and harmony across states, across religions, across communities. And here on your show, what we are seeing at the moment is from the BJP spokesperson, a party, whose ministers go out and say "Goli maro saron ko," and she's speaking about fraternity and antagonizing other religions, all of them. I mean, today she has not left even one. She is going on one after the other. She's talking about, Christmas. She's talking about Eid. She's talking about all the other festivals.
Okay,
but she's just not understanding the responsibilities on their shoulders to maintain the harmony.
I'm going to come right back to you. I'm also going to introduce Yashovardhan Azad, but before I do that, Sanju Verma wants to come in, and I'll take a comment each by you and Sanju Verma before we cut across to Yashovardhan Azad. Sanju Verma, the fact is, what we see is unprecedented. You could say it's because of years of appeasement that has gone by, and it's time now to settle scores. But those scores are being settled at the cost of the communal harmony, religious harmony that every festival brought. The question I'll ask you again, Sanju Verma, is it time now somewhere down the line to de-escalate politically? Because the kind of language, I'm not saying it's coming in from one side. It's coming in from either sides. But de-escalate it so people can go back to what really was, enjoying festivals.
प्रीति, ताली दो हाथ से बजती है, ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बजती. And let me just tell the Congress, I have the guts on your show and on various other zillion debates that I do. I have condemned Ramesh Biduri for the language he used on the floor of the parliament. But I want to ask the Congress, what did Rahul Gandhi say on the eve of the Pran Pratishtha celebrations at Ram Janmabhoomi? अरे आपको ऐश्वर्या राय मंदिरों में नाचती हुई मिलेगी. And this is a party which has lost Haryana, lost Maharashtra, 0 seats in Delhi. इनको अभी भी अक्कल नहीं आई. People can see through the charlatan that Rahul Gandhi is. Tell me one thing, Prime Minister Modi, he always wishes everybody, चाहे वो जैन धर्म के festivals हो, Buddha धर्म के festivals हो, he's wished the Muslim community. Have you ever seen Sonia Gandhi or Rahul Gandhi unequivocally, unconditionally wish Hindus on Ram Navami? मैंने तो नहीं देखा. कभी आपने राहुल गांधी को देखा है दिवाली पर हिंदुओं को मुबारकबाद देते हुए? मैंने तो नहीं देखा. कभी आपने देखा राहुल गांधी को रक्षाबंधन या कृष्ण जन्माष्टमी पर हिंदुओं को मुबारकबाद देते हुए? मैंने तो नहीं देखा. And let me tell you one more thing, Preeti. Nothing has changed in terms of what the basic DNA of Congress is, and that is where the problem lies. In 1951, Nehru wrote a letter to Rajendra Prasad saying, "My dear Rajendra Babu, I urge you not to participate in the Somnath Mandir inauguration ceremony as it reeks of Hindu revivalism." और इतने सालों के बाद उनके परपोते राहुल गांधी वही दोहरा रहे हैं. Don't forget, this is the same Mallikarjun Kharge who said on the eve of Lok Sabha elections, यदि नरेंद्र मोदी सत्ता में वापस आ गए, all the mosques and churches will be demolished. ऐसा तो कुछ हुआ नहीं. So it is the other side which needs to de-escalate.
Okay, I'm going to come right back. Okay, I'm going to come right back. But Sanju Verma, Rahul Gandhi has actually wished on both. What I can see, my research team has just sent me on Diwali, on Raksha Bandhan, in both. I'll come back to you on that. But Mahima Singh, I want to bring you in, and I want to also, get in Yashovardhan Azad, who's with us. But 30 seconds, Mahima Singh. The fact is, what Sanju Verma indicated, that of all the years of the Congress rule, the pendulum had swung so far left that it will take time for it to actually come in. Now it's going all the way right. It's payback time, is what Sanju Verma is saying.
It is the Congress party that set the norms for secularism and fraternity in this country, and very efficiently so. And to the BJP spokesperson on the eve of Holi, and today's Holika Dahan, burn all negativity, pessimism, I just want to remind her, मजहब नहीं सिखाता आपस में बैर रखना. हिंदी है हम, हिंदी है हम, हिंदी है हम, वतन है हिंदुस्तान हमारा, सारे जहां से अच्छा है हिंदुस्तान हमारा. Nonetheless, she would have a problem with the word Hindustan also, although now Prime Minister is going out to Sufi eves and using that word extensively. But that's my message to the BJP and to the spokesperson, and I urge her to please stop at this and do not go any further with the hatred propaganda on your show any further.
All right. I want to bring in Yashovardhan Azad into this conversation because, Mr. Azad, the sad part is festivals have become all about policing now. What was Holi Ramzan is now Holi versus Ramzan. It's a battleground of sorts where on the eve of a festival, one would see people celebrating, there's a sense of joy, going into each other's houses. Today, sadly, all we've run through the course of the morning is one flag march after the other in successive cities, Uttar Pradesh and even across India. How does one, in terms of logistics, administratively de-escalate this tension? Because if it continues to build up, we are sitting on a communal tinderbox.
See, there are two ways, Preeti. One is, of course, at the government level. I'm of the firm opinion that, faith and religion, they're absolutely private affairs. Faith can shake Mount Kailash, but the government cannot go by faith. It has to temper faith and bring rationality. And therefore, the government should be totally away from any kind of religion or festival. That's number one. That's at a policy level. But I can tell you another thing. At the district level, I myself remember in 1980s when I was SP Sihor, and we had a Dashara procession from one line, and we had a Muharram procession that on the same day we had on the other line, and both collector and I were standing in between, but we let them pass. But we put the fear of God in them, that if anything happens, we will fire even if we don't survive. So I think two things. One, the district administration has to be firm. And that is how it can be. It cannot go according to the diktats of the chief ministers or the ministers. That's number one. Number two, I'll also tell you that what is happening today is that all the so-called institutions, for example, you have a, all community meeting, all faith meeting. These are being done, but not in principle, actually, but just as a kind of a tokenism. I would also say that secularism does not mean singing songs and slogans, of bhaichara. It means a tough regulation. And I agree with you when you said that there was a phase, which I have seen, was going the absolutely other way, a kind of an appeasement. And, whether it's appeasement or whether it's right-winging, it's all for votes. And therefore, it's time in 21st century, Preeti, there are too many festivals, there are too many things. You can have a festival, you can have anything, but never can you destroy public life or public order. That's extremely important. You can have your Holi, you can have your Muharram. I, for example, don't believe even in azans making a noise. I don't believe in making, these temples making a noise. Do it in your own space, but you cannot do anything outside. And last point, I'll tell you, I remember during February and March, in my district in Sihor, there used to be noise on loudspeakers for all kinds of festivals and songs. We shut them down. Nothing happened. This is what is required today. No public noise over festival.
Before I go back for a quick word with our political panelist, Mr. Razad, I'll ask you one question. You spoke of the district administration needs to be firm. We are living in an age where the credibility of every district administration is being questioned. So how do you differentiate of being fair yet being firm?
I'll tell you, there are officers still now, collectors and SPs who are being kicked out, but doesn't matter. Rahul Lodha was in Ratlam and he stopped a mad procession trying to, disturb the other community. He was kicked out. So what? It doesn't matter. People respect him. And if you have cases like this, it will set a precedent. And I'm telling you, Preeti, sooner or later in 21st century, you cannot have this kind of a racket going on, whether it was going on earlier from one side and now going on from the other side.
All right. Okay. Let me bring in quick closing comments. Sanju Verma, you have 2 minutes. Make your point. On the only question that we ask, Sanju Verma, I would reckon should be that we don't have these kind of visuals when another festival comes around. Nobody really wants to see a flag march when all you want to see is color, joy, celebration, people sharing things with each other.
Preeti, let's get one thing very clear. When last year during Ram Navami, Mamata Banerjee said that why do Hindus want to celebrate Ram Navami in Muslim areas? Murshidabad, Bardwan, Howrah, Hooghly, North 24 Parganas. These are, places where Muslim population is more than 47%. तो मतलब ये Muslim area हो गए, यहाँ पर हिंदू अपना त्योहार ना मनाए. What happened to national media? And I'm not talking of India today. Everybody consumed Fevicol. What were we told on debate after debate? But Sanju Verma, why do Hindus have to celebrate Ram Navami in Murshidabad and in North 24 Parganas? Leave the Muslims in peace. Durga Puja Visarjan coincides with Muharram. Sanju Verma is told, pardon me, Sanju Verma, what is your problem? Postpone Durga Visarjan by one day, na? Kerala mein, Hindus are not given holidays on Krishna Janmashtami, but Muharram ke liye, Ramadan ke liye, Eid ke liye, छुट्टी पर छुट्टी मिलती है. And Sanju Verma has told on debates, क्या फर्क पड़ता है यदि आपको रक्षाबंधन पर छुट्टी नहीं मिली? My 2 minutes are not over. And let me tell you, Preeti, I have tremendous respect for your research team. Rahul Gandhi has wished people, oh, well and good. अच्छा लगा सुनकर, but also I'm sure your research team will corroborate. Who said मंदिरों में बलात्कार होते हैं? राहुल गांधी. Who said Aishwarya Rai मंदिरों में नाचती हुई मिलेगी? Rahul Gandhi. And let me tell you, have you forgotten? The recently concluded Mahakumbh, D.K. Shiv Kumar went there to take an Amrit Snan. बेचारे D.K. Shiv Kumar को हर प्लेटफॉर्म पर जा जाकर सफाई देनी पड़ी. Oh, this is my personal आस्था. This has nothing to do with the Congress party. Congress is Hindi phobic. Congress is Hindu phobic. I challenge Rahul Gandhi to talk about Islamic terror.
All right,
I challenge Rahul Gandhi to talk against
now it's over. I want to bring in
Mahima.
Mahima. We're talking about my research team, and they're actually pretty good. And the research team tells me, Mahima, saying that it cuts both ways, and I'll tell you why. Because we can talk about, and we should talk about, on the kind of language being used by politicians which come from the BJP, especially during the time of Holi, how diktats are being given, that Muslims should not step out on Holi, how mosques are being covered. It's never happened. We must speak about it. But did the Congress, which was in, alliance with the government in the state of Jammu and Kashmir, even say one word where fashion designers were made to apologize because they conducted a fashion show during the month of Ramzan, and there were, 2 models sporting bikini wear, where nothing's wrong in that, and the entire political establishment coerced the fashion designers to apologize. Intolerance sometimes also cuts both ways, and that is when hypocrisy comes in, because if one political party speaks for one cause and then remains shut on the other.
Well, Preeti, I would say that excesses, wherever they are definitely not welcome. Extremes, I would say, we say, Ati ka bhala na bolna, ati ki bhali na choop, ati ka bhala na barasna, ati ki bhali na dhoop. So you see, excesses are wrong, but the excesses that we really need to worry today are the excesses we are facing from America. That the government needs to be proactive on many fronts. What happened in Jammu and Kashmir, if it is an extreme, then I would say, yes, that needs to be checked too. Wherever there's an excess, wherever there's an extreme of the authority, I think it needs to be checked, it needs to be streamlined. But what we are talking about here, in fact, hearing the BJP spokesperson distort statement after statement, I would really, really welcome if she could come forward with evidence, show us on record where our honorable leader, honorable LOP, Shri Rahul Gandhi, has said what she claims he has said, then, that would help the viewers as well. But I would rather
you have to be deaf and
please don't talk over each other, ma'am. Okay. 10 seconds. Mahima Singh, you have 10 seconds to conclude. I want to bring in Mr. Yashovardhan Azad. 10 seconds, ma'am. Make your point.
The spokesperson wants all fairness for herself, complete 2 minutes, but wants to intrude the way they are letting the Americas to intrude in India. But I would just say happy Holi to the BJP spokesperson and to the entire BJP, and remind them that it ought to be a happy Holi for one and all. Please ensure that your administration is spot on.
And I just want to bring in for the next, just last 20 seconds, if I can get in Mr. Razad back into this conversation, because do we have Mr. Razad?
Yes.
Okay, just 20 seconds, Mr. Razad, if we get you back into this conversation. What we're witnessing right now is, what was simmering earlier is now seemingly boiling over. What we are looking at is deeply worrisome. Do you think we're actually building into something far more, serious than just the kind of empty rhetoric that is, the surround sound of it?
Well, the rhetoric is always empty, but it does have its impact. So, in fact, these rhetorics have combined when we can come to a communal boil. So that's why they are not at all necessary. In fact, the government should be a benefactor. It should be an enabling factor for all the religions. But this kind of rubbish, the kind of statement comes from politicians is absolutely wrong, and it should not be allowed. And nor even, statements which come that one community should avoid this religion or the other. If you're playing Holi, you play Holi. But don't play Holi with people who don't want to play Holi. It's a very simple thing. And it can be enforced. And the other thing is, the last point which I'm trying to make is that the government should totally dissociate itself from any kind of a religion, which is not happening, and which was not happening earlier in the form of a kind of a secularism, which was an amazing kind of appeasement. So we are at two ends, and we need to strike a mean and a balance.
Well, let's just hope so. I appreciate all three of you for joining us. All three of our panelists have a really happy Holi. All our viewers a very happy Holi. And I am very sad to say this. Let's hope we have a very peaceful Holi, something we never quite said earlier.